is that He fills you with a passion for righteousness. Lord, my prayer today is that Jesus will guide you through every storm. Yes, every storm. Lord, every storm. This is my prayer today.
I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out, righteousness. Welcome, everybody, to the broadcast today. I'm so glad that you've logged on. And you may have noticed over the last couple of weeks that I have not been as consistent every day to every broadcast hour, and mainly because I've been devoting a large amount of time to the $70 million lawsuit that we have brought against the Mellon Bank, the city of New York, Mayor Eric Adams, and others who have brought this horrendous foreclosure action against us over the past 20 years. And so I'm spending a lot of time in legal work, reading a lot of legal books. And by the way, I get a shout out to Bob Jackson, who sent me a word about what to do when approaching the courtroom. But I do want to be ready. This is a major responsibility for the kingdom of God. So you're going to see a rebroadcast today or a rerun, and you're going to learn something new. You're going to learn at least 3 to 7 new things today, even though you've seen this broadcast before. You're going to learn something new. And so I'm asking you to just stay with us and don't log me off or tune me out because you've seen it before. Let's keep the numbers strong. Let everybody know that you're still with me, even though I am now attending to the Lord's business of, fighting this battle of the Mellon Bank and New York City. But we're going to win, and we're going to get that $70 million plus. But stay tuned, all right? Great broadcast today, and thank you so very much. And by the way, tell your friends about what's going on. Tell everyone and tell all your enemies how God has turned this around. Where they were once bringing us to court, we are now bringing all of them to court ourselves. We're God's servants, and the Lord has blessed us greatly. Tell everybody, spread the word, and spread the word about our broadcast as well on Saturday, on the Pulpit of Power, Sunday, the 3 broadcasts per day. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. There's more good teaching to come. Welcome, everybody, to the Open Rewards Prayer Meeting. I am your Open Rewards Prayer Meeting Pastor James Praying Manning. Back in the saddle again. Last week I was out of town in an undisclosed location, by the way, just in case you're curious about where I was. But I'm back here. And by the way, I was not present at today's Trust in the Lord Out, nor the Manning Report, because I was, resting up and also taking care of some legal affairs. And those days are going to get more multitudinous as we go along, but the ministry will go on in a better fashion and much more powerful, even while we're doing this major legal work that has been assigned to our hands. Now, however, I do wish to express my most profound and deep condolences to the family of Dr. Charles Stanley, to his immediate family, to the family of the First Baptist Church of Atlanta, Georgia, and to some degree to the Southern Baptist Convention, if you don't mind, for the death of Dr. Stanley. I was made aware of this news on yesterday. However, sometimes you see things on the internet, and you want to make sure that they are absolutely accurate. Don't want to be calling about his death prematurely, but Dr. Stanley obviously influenced my life greatly in the early years when I was doing radio ministry on WMCA and several other radio stations around the nation. And so a great loss. He was considered America's pastor. And it's a great loss that Dr. Stanley is no longer with us. And I suppose there'll be more details about the funeral services going forward, but certainly the Outlaw Church and Ministry and all of us wish to express our condolences at this hour. Now, I understand that Deborah Love brought the house down at Juilliard last night in a stellar performance there at that austere and auspicious and just tremendous theater and setting at Juilliard. Everybody who attended last night said it was just stupendous, and we want to congratulate her on great performances. She is a great performer with an extraordinary career ahead of her, and we're just so thankful to God to be a part of her life. She's been in this church since she was 5 years old, and though she has reached such extraordinary acclaim as being a star performer at the world's greatest school of entertainment, Juilliard, yet she has stayed close to this ministry and expressed to me the other day that she wants to stay here as long as God will let her. Thank you and bless you, Deborah Love, for your great performance on last evening. And the performance goes on throughout this week at Juilliard. Last week, while I was away, I chimed in to do a teaching about why, and helping us to try to understand why things happen in our life, both past and post-salvation and past salvation, pre-salvation and post-salvation. Let me get that right. And I didn't complete it, and generally I kind of move on. But tonight I want to read, let me assign to you Psalm 26. I think I need to read it. I thought at one point in time tonight I would take this time beyond the 1 hour segment that we have scheduled out for this, but that would be a bit unfair. Our engineers and media and staff work so hard. I don't want to keep them here any longer. So I'll try to get as much said tonight as I can, but I got a lot to say, and thank God that I do. But I want to read Psalm 26 because I'm going to make some references to it someplace in the midst of the testimony that we're going to give, or the message that we're going to bring, the prayer meeting that we're going to do tonight. So, Mr. Engineer, bring up Psalms 26 for us so we can read what is being said there. Now, it's a Psalm of David. Lord, judge me, O Lord, for I have walked in mine integrity. By the way, this psalm is personal for me. Very, very. Every last word of this psalm is personal for me and is a personal witness to my walk. I've walked in mine integrity. I've trusted also in the Lord. Therefore, I shall not slide. Examine me, O Lord, and prove me. Try my reins and my heart. For thy loving kindness is before mine eyes, and I have walked in thy truth. I have not sat with vain persons, neither will I go in with dissemblers. I have hated the congregation of evildoers, and will not sit with the wicked. I will wash mine hands in innocency. Okay, all right, let's move on. So will I compass thine altar, O Lord, that I may publish with the voice of thanksgiving and tell all thy wondrous works. Lord, I have loved the habitation of thy house and the place where thine honor dwelleth. Gather not my soul with sinners, nor my life with bloody men, in whose hands is mischief, and their right hand is full of bribes. But as for me, I will walk in mine integrity. Redeem me and be merciful unto me. My foot standeth in an even place. In the congregations will I bless the Lord. I'm going to refer to that if I get the opportunity through the course of things that we want to pray about tonight. And we want to pray about two things. One is that the latter thing is that we want to look at what's happening with our young people and whether or not you're going to be a crusader to go out now and to wage war against those that are waging war against our children. And I'll be more definitive about that in terms of the LGBTQ. But I also want to continue, if you must, the thoughts of why, helping us understand why did the things happen pre-salvation in our life. Why did we do what we did? Why did we do it? Just why did we do it? And I got the more whys than anybody on the planet. And even after salvation, why have we done some of the things that we've done? And obviously, we're referring to some of the awful bad things, the regrettable things that we've done, the repentable things that we've done. Why? I didn't complete that last week. I did give you what I thought was the remedy of Romans chapter 8, verse 28, where Paul writes, and he should know that all things work together for good for those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. But if there's some lingering things in your life, if there's some things that may be hindering you, and they may be not hindering you for bad, they may be hindering you for good. And there may be some things, and I want to try to explain this. I don't want to tell you that Almighty God condones sin. Don't anybody run away and tell anybody I said that. But there's some things that we do, were we not walking down the road of sin, we may have never gotten to the altar of salvation. But the sin brought us to a point of reckoning. And why do those things happen to us? And, the question is, why do the righteous suffer and it seems that the wicked seem to be having a great time all the why? And I think we need to answer these questions. The Holy Ghost, there are people, they are listening to me, want to know why. There are a large number of people who are sitting in a dark place that listen to me that want to know why did these things happen in their lives. And I want to try to answer them as best I possibly can. The Holy Ghost give me utterance. But why did you do the things you did? And the older you get, the more you're able to realize. I tried to speak to our young people on this past Sabbath to let them know that one day you're going to be old and you're going to look and say, why on earth was I so crazy when I was young? It happens to everybody. Nobody's exempt. But, the question we raised also, I think in our teaching last time, was why was the man born blind in John chapter 9? And we got the answer. We don't know why the man who lay at the pool for 38 years, why he was born with the palsy, or why he had the palsy, but we got the answer about the man born blind. And we know why God held conception from Sarah, but Sarah did not know. That's Abraham's wife. She was Sarai until she conceived. But why Sarah didn't know, and for nearly 90 years, she, I think that's an appropriate time, did not know what her problem was, why God had passed her by, and why he withheld conception from her. And that question is probably one that's answered, but certainly it wasn't easy for Sarah to go through that. One of the questions, I think that a larger question for me is, why did God send the Jews down into Egypt in slavery and took this most, if you will, extraordinary way of getting the Jews into Egypt by calling a world famine? You see, if the famine, and it was a 7-year famine, God called a famine, created a famine on the entire then known world for the singular purpose of having Jacob leave the promised land and go to Egypt, the land of Ham, my father. Why it took a famine? And that's what God did. But moreover, it took Joseph, from a 17-year-old boy that really lost his, I don't think he lost, but he didn't get an opportunity to grow up. He didn't have an opportunity to be 17. He didn't have an opportunity he was sold into slavery, hated by his brethren, thrown in prison, lied on by a woman, thrown in jail, doubted by his boss, and then spent the rest of his life in prison. He didn't have the time to just hang out. He didn't have that time. But we know why God did that. Couldn't God have found another way, just make a switch, and Jacob just go down to Egypt and stay there rather than calling a 7-year famine? People died, animals died. These are questions, and most of them are relative to all of our lives. I want to tell you, the closer you get to Jesus, the more you're going to see things that you thought you understood. But you're going to find out there's just more to learn about God. There's so much more to learn about him. And the closer you get to him, the more you're going to understand that you don't understand. And there are things that have happened in your life, and maybe there's some bad things. There very well may be some bad things that you thought that you did. And I'm going to say this to you, then don't you run off and grab the cow by the tail and start doing all kinds of wicked things. But I'm going to say something to you here tonight. I'm going to say something to you. There are some things that you have done, and you have done to people. And they were evil things that you did. But God let you do it. God let you be his sheriff. God let you be his cursor. God let you be an instrument in his hands. And you may have thought that it was evil that you did, and in the context of things that are good and evil, on the evil scale, the good scale, they were evil. But God allowed you to do it. And without you having done that, the world may not exist today. And it doesn't matter how you may think that you may be insignificant, that your life is not important. There was a woman that came to worship one day in the temple. Jesus didn't go. He was standing at the gate, but Jesus wouldn't go inside the temple. He didn't like those, like David said, I wouldn't stand in the congregation of these sinners, these bloody men. Jesus didn't go in. But he was watching this woman, and she put 2 pennies in the offering basket. And it's become memorialized throughout the ages. So don't think that because you don't have a big spotlight on you, or that you don't have a big name, or that you don't have a big place in society, profession, job, or anything else, you are just the run of the mill. But like that woman who had nothing, God used her. And so I want to try to, I'm not saying that everything is not black and white. I'm not saying that everything is not sin and evil. I'm not saying that. But there's some areas of things I'm going to tell you that you did that were wrong. But they work together for good. Now, I don't go run around out there and I say, oh, I got license to sin. Pastor Manny just gave me the license to sin. No, I didn't say that. But there's some things that you have done that are wrong, that are dead wrong. But they work together for good. Now, I'm cautious about that. I'm praying. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father, Heavenly Father, Heavenly Father, these words that I'm now uttering, they're not mine. They come from the great apostle Paul. And he said in Romans 8:28, all things work together for good for those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. I am not giving anyone a license to sin. No, God forbid I should do that. But in my speech tonight, Jesus, I pray you give people the maturity to hear what I'm saying and saying it in the voice of love to those who have committed trespasses, but yet it works together now for good for those who love you and are called according to your purpose. Give people the maturity and let none take advantage of this place in your power to go out and do further sins. In your name, Jesus, I pray. Hallelujah and amen. So the Jews did nothing. What Jacob did do some wrong against his brother, but that didn't amount to him going down there to be a slave. You know, I raised the question also, why did Ham uncover his father's nakedness? Why did he do that? What was the purpose? Didn't make any sense. And probably to Ham right now, probably Ham is thinking, well, he's not thinking now, but he maybe thought, well, I don't know if he's thinking now, but probably Ham thought when he did it, why did I do this? I'll tell you why he did it. I got the answer for you, Ham. It was a setup. God set you up. In other words, Shem could have done it, Jacob could have done it. And the other thing, there's no place where there was a reason why Ham would go and uncover his father's naked. It don't make no sense. But it only makes sense if you have the mind of God, if you have the power of God, and that's the key thing. If you have the power of God, and God needed to be able to curse Canaan. God needed to send black folk to America to be slaves. And he did it in Noah's tent while Noah was drunk. Now, that is a fancy theological answer to an ancient question. But do you have a better answer? Do you have a better answer? But more specifically, what about you? Why did you uncover somebody's nakedness? Why did you uncover that woman's nakedness? Why did you do that? You hadn't been to uncover that woman's nakedness. And why did you uncover that man's nakedness? You had no business doing that. You had no business doing that. But it did somehow or another, Almighty God work it out for good. Now, I'm not giving anybody license to sin. That this is Pastor Manny. You know me. I ain't getting nobody license to sin. You come around me. But I have to go back to what Paul says. And in the event there's somebody who's suffering about sin they did 5, 7, 12, 15, 30, 35 years ago, and you're carrying a burden right now, I want to let you know something. I want to let you know what Paul said. Not me, but Paul said all things work together for good for those who love the Lord. And I want to take it a little bit further. I'm not, that through that sin, God has brought you. There are some people go to church and they ain't no way they're going to hear no sermon on righteousness. They go to church, see what they can get out of Jesus. They go to church like investors go down to Wall Street. They don't want you talking about sin. But when you understand that you have been wrong, and you've been saved by Almighty God, that's when you're ready to hear the sermon about righteousness. And so I'm not giving anybody a license, and I'm just telling you what the Apostle Paul said. All things work together for good. If you love the Lord, and you've been called. So there's 2 qualifications there. You got to meet both of them. Otherwise, you're out there as a sinner. But Canaan got cursed. It was an elaborate plan that God had to get black people here in America to be slaves. Now, you give me a better answer. I was teaching the other day, I was saying that the whole world, rather than saying the whole world's against me, I'd rather put it this way. It seems to me I'm against the whole world. This is years ago. I was down there at Trump Tower with Donald Trump down there. This is before before I became president and everything. I was down there and he was a birther. I was a birther too. I was down there in Trump Tower, way up on the 26th floor, right in that great big office down there with Donald Trump. And so after the meeting, Trump came over. We were shaking hands. And this preacher came up. There's a lot of preachers there too. This preacher came up and said, "Oh, I know you." He said, "You ain't. I know you." He said, "You ain't for nobody. You hate everybody." I said, "Lord, man, whoa, man, whoa." But it seems that I'm against everybody. I'm just against sinners. Now it's time for me to read Psalm 26. I'm going to get to it in just a moment because you say, "That's right, Pastor Man, doggone. Who you for? Who you for?" Well, I'm for Booker T. Washington. I'm for him. Who else you for? I'm for Jesus. Well, who is there anybody else out there you for? Anybody? Who? And it's not laughing matter. But we got here because Ham did something that is unexplainable. He walked into his father's tent and covered his father's nakedness. And had he not done that, y'all still be over there in Canaan land somewhere. But America wouldn't be America. Slaves would not have come, and I don't know, you know, and had Ham not done that. You see how Ham's life has affected in such a very powerful way. And I was thinking one day, I don't know if it ever happened, that one day somebody would look up and say, thank God for Father Ham. Like the Jews say, thank God for Father Abraham, and even Christians saying, Father Abraham did this, Father Abraham did that, Father Abraham did this, Father Abraham ticked, and Father Abraham tacked, Father Abraham. The Jews, because he's the one that prophesied they're going to be slaves. Lord have mercy, here's my burden. If I could ever reach the point where I can get black people to say, thank God for Father Ham. He went into Noah's tent. Thank God for Father Ham. He went into Noah's tent. Thank God for Father Ham, who uncovered Noah's nakedness. Thank God for Father Ham. Now the Jews, they say thank God for Abraham. Now check this out. Imagine if you were me, right? And you see how clear that is. That Abraham, in Genesis 15:13, God told him, Abraham, your children are going to be slaves. God told him your children are going to be slaves in the middle of the night. He told him one night. And the Jews today say, thank God for Abraham. And even old crazy Christians, thank God for Abraham. But imagine being me, knowing that every black person on the planet that ever lived, that ever walked, ought to be saying, thank God for Father Ham. Thank God for Father Ham. Thank God for Father. Imagine you sitting here with, knowing that knowledge, seeing how clear that is in the Bible. You see how clear it is? It's as clear as anything clear. And having that knowledge and then seeing the ignorance, the lunacy, the craziness of black people. The last thing they're going to do is say, thank God for Abraham. But that's the first thing. That's the only way they're going to ever be blessed. That's the only way. And you see it. And all you can do is preach. And nobody wants to listen. They call you a fool. That's what they say about me. Imagine being me. I have to wake up every day knowing, I wake up every day saying, thank God for Father Ham. The same way the prosperous, blessed Jews say, thank God for Father Abraham. And yet every black person riding or walking, except a few here at Outlaw, think I'm the craziest man that ever lived. Because I say, thank God for Father Ham. And by the way, Abraham has Ham's name, but they can't see it. The black people, well, now we got our movie stars. Now, well, we got our black governors. Well, we got our black mayors. We got our first black mayor. Oh, praise Allah. We got our first black woman vice president of the United States of America. We got our first black woman who is a Supreme Court justice, Pastor Manning justice. Imagine being me, having to wake up every day, seeing this incorrigible lunacy. And it gets worse as it goes along. Thank God for Father Ham. Thank God for Father Abraham. Thank God for Father Ham. At any rate, so here, I want to read Psalms 26 for the Mr. Engineer. Bring up Psalms 26. But before I do that, bring up Psalms 20. But before you bring up Psalms, hold it. Before you bring up Psalms 26, I want to talk to you, because in the second segment of this, if I possibly can, I have enough time, I want to talk to you about what's happening to our children. And I also want to continue to talk to you about discovering and defining why you are who you are, why you did what you did. Anyone that can stand up under the preaching that I do, and you know, listen, I rebuke the devil in the name of Jesus. I do. I said, I am, I call Minister Holnaker's name so much. So I said, I'm going to, but he wrote something today about that people just can't hear. I didn't tell him to write that. But he wrote it. People just cannot hear. And I am not going to, people may get jealous of, him or something, you call his name or this, that, and the other, may be angry with you because you don't call their name. But I'm not going to let that. If the man does something incredible, I'll recall his name. If he doesn't do anything incredible, I ain't got nothing. But if the man, give honor to whom honor is due. And the man wrote today, just today. And I wake up every day with this beautiful truth. I wake up every day saying, thank God for Abraham and every other black person. Well, we need our black politicians. We need to vote. We need more ethics. We need more this. We need the police. We need to defund the police. We need a black president. We need Black Lives Matter. We need more tax money. We need more. And I'm saying, thank God for Father Ham. I'm the only person on the planet. Save those that are here at Outlaw, globally too. Imagine having to wake up every day and see that. Imagine, and you see these people are as blind. Do you think I wouldn't cross the street to shake Camelback Bear's hand, or Ketanji Brown Jackson, or Jay-Z, or any of these blind mice? They're sick. They're sick. The whole fellowship, the churches are sick. So imagine if you wake up one day and start singing, thank God for Father Ham. They're going to put you out your family. Yeah, and put you out your church too. Thank God. Well, thank God, Father. Well, you were there, and we ain't been no slave now. And we married our brother, and then made us slaves over here, and we've been slaves. And then we built America. They built America. We slaves. And that preacher up there in Harlem, thank God for Father Ham. But for me, it's not a burden. It's not a chore. It's not difficult. It's just God's truth. It's just biblical truth. I don't know anything about what Dr. King was talking about. I have no idea about talking that Punjab talk from that Hindu boy over there called Mahatma Gandhi. I don't know anything about that. I don't know Hinduism. No, nothing about that. Well, thank God for Mahatma Gandhi. No, thank God for Father Ham. So I want to tell you a little bit about the school that we have here and some of the great things that we are accomplishing. This is something I just didn't see coming. We started a school 27 years ago, 28 years ago. And I started it because there was a girl down the street. She was living in a house with a crack-addicted mother, crack-addicted father, and she hadn't been outside for 2 years and didn't know anything about Christmas and everything. So I said, let me knock on the doors of the community and get these children in the building and have a school. And I did that. But I didn't see this coming. I didn't see Deborah Love coming. I didn't see that. I didn't. I mean, we've had a lot of people in our congregation who talked about they wanted their children to go to Juilliard. They tried. They bribed people. They paid money and all that kind of good stuff. And still, Juilliard rejected them. I didn't see. I didn't see most of what we see happening with our students. Anyway, Mr. Engineer, I'm not going anywhere. We're going to come back to thank God the Father, and we're going to come back to understanding that the sin that you did, you may have meant it for sin, but because you were called by God, it worked together for good. Because you love the Lord and are called by. I'm coming back to that. Don't leave that. But watch this. I want you to see just a smithering of what our young people have accomplished here and what our school have accomplished. These students you're going to look at graduated our high school, and they're still in the church, but they're doing great things.
want to be is something to help people. I want to be a doctor because I want to help people get well.
I would like to be a soccer player because that is my passion.
I want to grow up and open my own restaurant. I want to own my own bakery when I get older and travel, so I would like to branch out. Hopefully one of my bakeries is stationed in France and Italy.
I'm the president of Mali, and I would like to make Mali a better place.
Today, I'm an orthopedic, but in the future, I would like to own a hospital on my own.
In the future, I would like to be a civil engineer. For those of you who don't know, it falls under the branch of architecture.
I'm a designer, so I can make good clothes for everybody. And I'll make my own clothes, so I won't have to buy other people's clothes.
I'm a fashion designer, and I like to create clothing that makes people happy. I overlook employees' work, what they're doing, where they're going. In international business, you travel all over the world, doing business deals, advertising your company. I do that.
What I want to be as an engineer, specifically, I want to run a company that's half technical engineering and the other half would be structural engineering.
A video designer imagines almost everything about a game, including its plots, characters, visual designs, and layout.
I want to be a linguist because I want to learn different languages and just translate for different people.
Be a technician because it will be a fun experience and it will be a lot of math.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Firefighter.
Why do you want to be a firefighter?
Because they put out fires and they set the
What do you want to be when you grow up?
a fireman.
Why do you want to be a firefighter?
Because they got fire. I don't know an artist when I grow up.
Why do you want to be an artist?
So I can make beautiful pictures.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be a cooker.
Okay, you want to be a cook? Why do you want to be a cook?
Because I can cook stuff.
Broadway critic, as I said, what a critic is. Broadway, yeah, hopefully. I go to the show, watch it. I read the playbill. It's a book and it has information about what the play is about.
You know, to watch that and know that we get up every day in this building in Harlem, in New York City, and that's what we create. We create students that go on to these great and auspicious and very powerful schools. They remain in the church, they come back and they serve in the church once they've graduated themselves, sometimes working 2 jobs. We do this every day. We've been doing it for 27 years. The contributions we've made to this community you cannot put a money value on it. And then, of course, we got these young children aspiring to be engineers, aspiring to be chefs, aspiring to be doctors, and they're going to reach those goals. And we're going to help them, keep them focused that they absolutely attain the goals of which they wish to do at present. And I wonder how it is. I know there are people right now that are listening to me in the Bronx and Brooklyn and Queens and locally in New Jersey even, and yet they continue to send their children to those barns called public schools, to those slaughterhouses called public schools every day. And they refuse to bring their children here because, well, Pastor Manning is not for the black man, and we have to have our black history and our black culture, and we black people have to be able to stand up and stick together. But I like Pastor Manning otherwise, but and so they send their children to these gender slaughterhouses. They cut off their nose to spite their faces. And so we pray that one day God will get a hold of them. when they're sitting in the courtroom waiting for their son to come in handcuffs, or they're sitting there in the hospital with their 16-year-old daughter who's pregnant for the third time because she had abortions 2 times before when she was 13 and 14. And they'll finally wake up and say, Pastor Manning has got a word of God in his mouth. I'm putting my children in that school where they can become somebody. And then there are others of you out there who see what we're doing and know that we need money. You know that we do. You know that we do. You see our building, you see our students. We can't do this without your financial support. And you could help us. You could help us. I'll tell you this, if you give us your child, we'll give you a world leader. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If you send your sons and daughters to our school, our middle school, our high school, you'll never have to worry about the police knocking on your door or you having to go to jail to bail out your son. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. For 27 years, and that is never, any young boy that has come through here, now has stayed here, has not gone to jail, has not had to stand in court, has not been handcuffed. You bring me your young son, middle age, middle school, high school, and I can say to you, he will never be handcuffed, but he will be handiwork in the hands of God. You bring me your daughter, you'll never have to worry about getting a secret abortion, hiding it from everybody else that your daughter's pregnant. You will never, if you bring me your daughter, you will never put her through the nights when she's got to tell you that she's pregnant and she don't know how to do it. She don't know how to do it. She knows it's going to break your heart, but she knows what she's carrying in us, and her body is not right, and she's got to tell you that she's pregnant. You put her through that because you could have brought her here where you got a strict person like Pastor Manning who teaches strictly, who watches carefully, who does not allow foolishness, and therefore your child will never have to come to you and tell you that she's pregnant. Bring her here. She'll graduate high school without becoming a mama. Your son will graduate without being handcuffed or shot in the street. And yet, people that sitting right here in New York City, right here in Fort Greene, right there up in the South Bronx, right out in Queens, Jamaica, and next year their son's going to be in handcuffs when they could bring them here. Well, he ain't for our first black president. We black people got to stick together. And he ain't. He's not for it. And I just think he's too strict. But they come and listen every day. Remember, when you see him in handcuffs, and she's in that room, and she's scared to tell you that she's pregnant, and she's going to tell somebody else to try to help her friends, try to help her get an abortion. But you as mama, you know she's pregnant because you're her mama. You watch her, you see her mood change, you see her with morning sickness. You know she's pregnant. You know she is. But you could have brought her here. You could have brought her to Mr. We black people got to stick together. Yeah, he ain't for the black man. He not for the black man. He don't like rap music, and he don't like to hear them rap, and he don't them wear sneakers. He told me he can't wear sneakers. What's wrong with sneakers? What's wrong with that? God loves everybody. God loves everybody. What? If God loves everybody, what the hell are we doing with hell? All right, okay. All right, so here, I want to be able to say that to you. Now, let's get back to where we were with all things work together for good. You've done some people wrong. But I'm going to say to you tonight, according to the Apostle Paul, now these are not my words. My word is outlaw. That's what God said. You've done some people wrong. But all things work together for good. If you love God. If you love God. And what Paul is saying, and been called according to his purpose. David killed Uriah. That was wrong. That was wrong. David killed him. And but David loved God, and he was called. And Bathsheba, well, gave us the world's richest man, gave us the world's wisest man. All things work together for good for those who love the Lord and call according to his purpose. All things. I'm not giving you a license to sin. And by the way, I'm not putting any limitation on the Apostle Paul, his words. But I'm going to qualify this now till I have a prayer meeting with Jesus. And I'll come back, I'll talk to y'all next week. I have a prayer meeting with Jesus. I'm going to say all things that you have done in the past, nothing that you can do in the future. So don't go out there and start doing stuff in the future and say, but I love the Lord, I'm called according to his purpose. So bingo! I'm going out and find myself a prostitute. No. No, let's do pre-salvation. Let me tell you what Paul said, if you don't mind. Can I tell you what the Apostle Paul said? That all things work together for those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. Get my Bible here. Oh, thank God for Father Ham. Thank God for Father Ham. That Manning is crazy. That man is crazy. Lord, look at all these successful black people. Listen, Jay-Z got an $88 million house. LeBron James got 3 houses, one in Brentwood, one in Bel Air, one in Beverly Hills. Pastor man living up above a church. He's sleeping on the building up above church. And somebody all things work together for good for those. Thank God for Father Ham. So Acts chapter 9, Mr. Engineer. Acts chapter 9. I'm going to tell you what Paul said, what he said. I'll tell you what Paul said, all things work together for good for those who love the Lord. And I'm gonna bless you here tonight. Not everything, but a lot of the things that y'all did up until this point. I said pre-salvation. No, I'm gonna say up until this point, up until tonight, the 19th of April. Many of them worked, though they were wrong. They work together for good for those of you who love God and are called according to his purpose. Let me tell you why Paul said that. In Acts chapter 9, verse 10. Acts chapter 9, verse 10. And there was a certain disciple at Damascus named Ananias. And to him said the Lord in a vision, Ananias. Elder Pugh used to say that down in Union Correction Facility. He was a Pentecostal elder, Elder Pugh. He said, Ananias. And he said, behold, I am here, Lord. And the Lord had said to him, arise, go into the street which is called Straight, and inquire in the house of Judas for one called Saul of Tarsus. For behold, he prayeth. And he hath seen in a vision a man named Ananias coming in and putting his hand on him that he might receive his sight. Then Ananias said, Lord, I've heard by many of this man how much evil. Now we're talking about the Apostle Paul. And we're talking about a saint named Ananias. Lord, I have heard by many of this man how much evil he have done to the saints. They did this evil to the saints in Jerusalem. And here he have authority from the chief priest to bind all that call on thy name. And I said that to the Lord. And he was true. Every word was true. Paul was an evil man. He did a lot of evil things. He may have murdered people. Paul was an evil man. Ananias got it right. And you don't be talking to God calling people evil and you don't get it put in the Bible. Ananias was right. Paul was an evil man. Like some of you. And verse 15. But the Lord said unto him, go thy way, for he is a chosen vessel unto me, to bear my name before the Gentiles and kings and the children of Israel. For I will show him great things. I show him how great things he must suffer for my name's sake. So what does that say? Let me translate in case you can't put it down. I'm putting it down where you can get it. It's simply saying this. All that evil Paul did, God let him do it so he could know what suffering was. He may have murdered somebody, threw people in jail, separated fathers from their wives, beat people in Jerusalem. But God said, all of that I let him do because I want him to understand what persecution is. I'm going to take advantage of this verse because I got to go. But I want to take advantage of it. That, I sing, thank God for Father Ham. Thank God. The Jews say, thank God for Father Abraham. Thank God for Father Abraham. Father Abraham. And I say, thank God for Father Ham. My father Ham, the second son born of Noah, who cursed Canaan. Thank God for Father Ham. And nobody can understand it. That man crazy. That pastor man, that man ain't crazy. He ain't for the black people. He ain't for the black people. Let me say something. When you can rise to the level and you can sing the song, thank God for Father Ham. Thank God for Brother Canaan. Thank God for Brother Canaan, and thank God for Father Ham. You ain't just for black people. You're praising them. Anybody who sends you in any other direction is a liar and a thief, and the truth ain't in them. I don't care if it's Dr. King or Mrs. King. Thank God for Father Ham. Well, now I have to go, but I want to also say about Psalms 26. I guess I'll have to get to that a little bit later. Because in Psalms 26, it says that, thank God I don't stand in the way of sinners, David said, I don't go to the congregation of the wicked. I don't hang out in these churches. I don't. I used to hang out with Southern Baptists. I wasn't a personal friend of Dr. Stanley, but most of the time when he was speaking at a conference or someplace, I was down in the South, in the Bible Belt, quite a bit. Down in Atlanta, Georgia from time to time. I don't do that no more. And, well, you don't have no pastor friends, Well, no, there are a large number of pastors that listen to me. I don't know whether or not we're all on the same page about everything. But Mr. Engineer, bring up Psalms 26 for just a moment. I want to read it because I'm going to have to come back to this. But it's the same as Psalm number 1 that I don't. Blessed is the man that standeth not in the way of the sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful, but his delights in the law of the Lord. But watch this psalm, and I really got to go. But I want to say this to the fellowship of sinners. I was raised in the fellowship of sinners, Baptist ministers. I was raised among them, and many of them had great hopes that I was going to do great things. I was young, I was educated. I was, I was presentable, and thought I was going to do great things. Anyway, David said, "Judge me, O Lord, for I have walked in mine integrity. I have not trusted also. I have trusted also in the Lord. Therefore, I shall not slide. Examine me, O Lord, and prove me. Try my reins and my heart. For thy loving kindness is before mine eyes, and I have walked in thy truth." And that's what I do. Thank God for Father Ham. Thank God. It's the truth, everybody. It's the truth. It's the truth. Dr. King lied to you. Nelson Mandela lied to you. I'm telling you. If they didn't tell you to say thank God for Father Ham, if they didn't tell you that we got here because God, through whatever plan, had Ham walk in and cover his father's naked. Anything else is a lie. I don't care how you exalt it. I don't care what the New York Times or any Nobel Prize winner, giver, any Nobel giver of prizes can say. Listen, if it ain't God's word, it's a lie. Verse 4, I have not sat with vain persons, neither will I go in with dissemblers. I don't hang around with these people anymore. I don't. I have hated, and you hear me talk about these churches. You hear me call them out. You hear me call these churches, these mega churches. I have hated the congregation of evildoers. I hate them. And I will not set foot inside. I will not sit with the wicked. I won't even watch them on YouTube. I don't go there. I ain't going. I hate the congregation of evildoers. And I will not sit with the wicked. I will wash mine hands in innocency. So will I compass thine altar, O Lord, that I may publish with the voice of thanksgiving and tell all thy wondrous works. Tell of all thy wondrous works. Lord, I have loved the habitation of thy house and the place where thine honor dwelleth. Honor dwells here not long. Gather not my soul with sinners, nor my life with bloody men, in whose hands is mischief, and their right hand is full of bribes. But as for me, I will walk in mine integrity. Redeem me, and be merciful unto me. For my foot standeth in an even place. In the congregation of Allah will I bless the Lord. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Thank God for Father Ham. Thank God for Father Ham. Thank God for Father Ham. Thank God for Father Ham.
Sometimes we have to decide to let our faith be bigger than our obstacles. Life is hard. What choice will you make? Will you choose to lose or claim the victory? Life can be so hard sometimes, it makes you feel you can't succeed. Sickness, pain, financial struggles, and there's just no room to breathe. Don't give up, don't let them win. Don't let them persuade you not to believe. The enemy's trying to twist the truth. That's why I'm glad that we've got you. So we give you all of the glory, in spite of the things that we see. The road can be tough, but our story can give us the strength that we need. We give you glory and we give you praises. Lord, we wanna thank you for victory. Glory, Lord, we wanna praise it, and we're gonna thank you for victory. No matter what the doctors say, no matter what the lawyers say, no matter.
I'm the Lord's servant. I'm asking now is to give truth a chance. All I've ever told anybody is the truth. Now, just because you didn't understand it doesn't mean it's not true. And I'm asking people to give truth a chance.
All around, you hear the lies being told from the top. Every time you turn around, it just don't seem to stop. When you're ready to move far beyond that same old dance, all you gotta do is listen, yeah, and give truth a chance.
Give truth a chance.
Everybody,
Give truth a chance.
come on and sing it.
Give truth a chance. Give truth a chance.
I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out righteousness. Welcome, everybody, to the broadcast today. I'm so glad that you've logged on. And you may have noticed over the last couple of weeks that I have not been as consistent every day to every broadcast hour And mainly because I've been devoting a large amount of time to the $70 million lawsuit that we have brought against the Mellon Bank, the city of New York, Mayor Eric Adams, and others who have brought this horrendous foreclosure action against us over the past 20 years. And so I'm spending a lot of time in legal work, reading a lot of legal books. And by the way, I'm going to shout out to Bob Jackson, who sent me a word about what to do when approaching the courtroom. But I do want to be ready. This is a major responsibility for the kingdom of God. So you're going to see a rebroadcast today or a rerun, and you're going to learn something new. You're going to learn at least 3 to 7 new things today, even though you've seen this broadcast before. You're going to learn something new. And so I'm asking you to just stay with us and don't log me off or tune me out because you've seen it before. Let's keep the numbers strong. Let everybody know that you're still with me, even though I am now attending to the Lord's business of, fighting this battle of the Mellon Bank and New York City. But we're going to win, and we're going to get that $70 million plus. But stay tuned, all right? Great broadcast today, and thank you so very much. And by the way, tell your friends about what's going on. Tell everyone and tell all your enemies how God has turned this around. Where they were once bringing us to court, we are now bringing all of them to court ourselves. We're God's servants, and the Lord has blessed us greatly. Tell everybody, spread the word, and spread the word about our broadcast as well on Saturday, on the Pulpit of Power, Sunday, the 3 broadcasts per day. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. There's more good teaching to come. Welcome, everybody, to the Manning Report. I am Manning, as you very well know, and I'm welcome. You ought to say, welcome, Pastor Manning. We're glad to know you're back. Elizabeth and I, we went away for a couple of days, and we were down in, I tell you what, undisclosed location. How's that? So now that'll fix you. So the reason I'm preparing for the trial, and it's going to get more intense as it goes along. And we have, we filed a case. The Chief Justice for the Southern District of the U.S. Court allowed our case to be filed, and the clerk of the U.S. District Court here in the Southern District of New York sent out 9 summonses, one to Mayor Eric Adams, the other to, I think, Robin Vance of the Mellon Bank, another to the Mellon Bank, City of New York. And several people have already received their summons to respond to my $70 million lawsuit against the Mellon Bank in New York City, Mayor Eric Adams and others. And so we're getting ready for that. I'm studying law, and the segment of law, not every aspect of a law school, but I'm studying the particular laws that would affect what we are, our complaint is all about. And as I explained early on in the Trust in the Lord Hour, that I'm going to be representing myself and the church, I'm going to stand pro se and represent against 9 lawyers from the city of New York, the Mellon Bank. I'm sure all these major corporations, Mellon Bank is a $52 trillion institution. They're going to have some high-priced lawyers, $3,000 an hour lawyer, and I'm going to stand against them. And I'm going to win. I'm going to defeat every last one of them. And I don't say that boastfully or irresponsibly, I think is what I want to say. No, I'm going to defeat them. And as I said earlier, one may argue, well, Pastor Manning, why don't you hire a high-priced lawyer? You got a good case. By the way, you need to read. It's online. I read the entire 55 pages in a sermon from the pulpit going back a couple of weeks ago. You can see it as Pastor Manning files a $70 million lawsuit against the Mellon Bank. That's the title of the video that's on YouTube. It's on Facebook. Go listen to it. Because you're going to find it intriguing what I've had to say. But it's a 55-page document complaint that I wrote. We had a person who's a lawyer in our congregation, another who's a law student, and some others who have advanced degrees who are members of our congregation who belong to this team who helped me put this 55 pages together. But I have to tell you that the reason why I am going to represent us in the kingdom of God in this, what I believe will be a court case for the ages, is because I just, lawyers have been bleeding us dry. They've been sucking our blood, and they've not been defending us as they ought. And I just don't trust them. Now, that's not to say there's not a good lawyer out there somewhere. I just haven't met them. I haven't. And and some are not as bad as the others. And then the other thing beyond that, I just believe that Jesus wants me to do this, that he wants me to represent. He don't want some lawyer. And by the way, I mean, a law degree is a prestigious degree. I'm not throwing that out the window. But it ain't rocket science. To get a law degree, it ain't rocket science. You just a study, learn all the various procedures, and take your test and exam and pass the bar, and you'll be a lawyer. The whole lot of lawyers some of our Sunday school students could better present than they have. But I'm going to go ahead now, and I'm going to represent us. I believe it's the right thing to do, and I can trust me, and I'm not going to do anything to hurt or harm. And by the way, so what I want to say to you, and I got to get to the news. There's a whole lot of stuff going on today. There's all kind of mass shootings. Have y'all seen the mass shootings? I mean, they're everywhere. Down there in Dadeville, Alabama, Saturday night, and back in Louisville, Kentucky, Saturday night. Then you got all this business with the abortion pill, and you got all this, if you will, racial politics going on, and you got No Jacket Jim Jordan up here in New York laying siege to Alvin Bragg, all of that. I want to cover all that today in the process of the Manning report that I got going on here today. But I want to put this out there first. I want to let you know that I'm going to be spending more time away from this desk and potentially from the pulpit as the months increase and we get closer to the potential court time. I have to tell you as well, I'll tell you the truth, I'm looking forward to this. You say, Pastor Manning, you done lost your mind, man. How you gonna stand up against these 9 lawyers? Let me tell you something now. Let's say something to you. I've been standing in the pulpit, the extraordinary pulpit of the Outlaw World Missionary Church, holding court for Jesus for 40 years. What you ought to be asking is these lawyers ought to be afraid to have to deal with you, because in many ways I'm going to be far more experienced than they are. That's right. Didn't think you'd hear that, but that's the truth. In many ways I'm going to be far more experienced than they are. In many ways, I'm certainly going to be sold out for Jesus and sold out for our cause. And I'm going to study the law. I'm going to study every aspect, every precedent, everything about the case that we're bringing before the Southern District Court, the U.S. Federal Court. I'm going to know everything I need to know. When I step onto that courtroom floor before that jury and that judge, I'm going to know everything I need to know about law. I can tell you that right now. Tell you that. So they ought to be afraid. That man's got 40 years of holding court for Jesus. Doggone, we might be, even though it's 9 of us, we don't have that kind of experience ourselves. So let's get straight. So I'm excited about it, and I want you to get excited about it. I want you to get excited about it, and I'm looking forward to it. It's our life. Our church is at stake, obviously, and there's been a lot of wrongdoing over the years. There's been a lot of things done wrong. So Elizabeth and I, we probably, we go away maybe starting in May. I'll be gone for another week or so. But I want to thank God for our engineers. And I want y'all to keep listening to the Ezra Nehemiah series, the Solomon University series, and some of the other teachings that we've done of late, that I find some of the most powerful teachings I've ever done. I've been doing this for 40 years. And so I want y'all to, go ahead and listen to the reruns and know that Pastor Manning is studying the law books. Now he's hitting the law books, and he's getting ready to step onto that courtroom floor. And I don't know how soon that'll happen. It may not happen sometime at the end of this year or next year. I'm not sure how soon. I'm going to move for a speedy trial. And you can see if you read the complaint, we've asked for a trial by jury. We are not on a trial by judge or a summary judgment. We've asked for a jury of 12 New Yorkers to hear what we have to say. So I don't know how soon, but I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready and getting spiritually ready, getting legalese ready, And I'm also getting my health, but my health is good. I'm like a 30-year-old right now. That's what I feel like. I got the body of a 30-year-old, and I got the countenance of a 40-year-old man. That's right. So I'm ready. I'm going to get, but there's a whole lot I got because I'm not going to misrepresent the people. No, I'm not going to misrepresent the Lord. I'm not going to misrepresent the people. So I wanted to be that. Now I put together 7 prayer groups, and you need to join one of these groups, or all these groups. Number one, we need to we need to pray against political assault, because this is going to be a political matter. We're dealing with politicians, and we put up on the sent out a tweet the other day. The engineer can put it up on the screen so you can see it. We sent out a tweet because we're going to need people praying. We need 7 different prayer groups for this, getting ready for this trial. One is to pray against political assault. Now, politically, they have assaulted me for years. Now, I've survived. But, somebody trying to get to the judge, try to bribe the judge, but they can't bribe the lawyer because I'm the lawyer. They can't bribe me, offer me a job at a major big-time law firm and a major contract. They can't offer me that. I'm the lawyer, so we don't worry about that. But they will try to get to the judge. And there are going to be all kinds of things that we want to pray that every one of those efforts will fail. Number one. Number two, to defeat smears against Pastor Man. Well, people try to bring up a lot of things about me, say this, that, and the other. He did this or said that or one thing or the other. Well, we're going to pray against that too, because they're going to try to make that a part of the case. It ain't got nothing to do with the case, but they're going to try to make it now. And so I put that up there so you can see it. And I'm going to the others, to pray against media attacks. If the media decides to get involved with it, I think the media is dead. I think the media is scared, if you will, of one James. They're scared of me. They are scared. They know about this. They know about it. They know about it, but they ain't going to print it. Here, they know about this, but here, let me tell you something. The media, CNN, MSNBC, New York One, Fox News, New York Times, Washington Post, this is big. This is a big story. They're a big story for the media. A pastor takes on 9 lawyers from the Mellon Bank, the city of New York, and they ain't put it in the news. You know why? Because they know I know how to work the media. They know if you put a microphone in front of my mouth, I'm going to convince even trannies. Even trannies going to be cheering for me. I mean, trannies and gay men going to be cheering for Pastor Matt. I'm telling you. All they got to do, don't make the mistake of putting Manning in the news. Don't make it. Now, they've had, I've been in the New York Times many times. I've been on television many times. I remember they found out, you can't do that with him. You can't put that man in the news, in the media. He will convince people because he got the truth in his mouth. So they scared of me, but he may attack me. Pray for an honorable judge. I believe we're going to get one. I think so. Defend me against the LGBTQ plus and everybody else. And this is a separate matter of praying for Gen Zers. And then we need to pray after we be successful. We need to pray how to manage this $70 million plus 18% interest, how to deal with all of that for good. So I'm going to ask you to join one of those prayer groups, all of those prayer groups. But I'm ready to go, my friend. I'm ready to go. So I want to ask you now, and I'm going to let you go, to give me some time. Give me some time to go away and study and relax and refresh myself and, just kind of chill out for a while. And we can, the church can, with the elder of the floor, he can keep everything hopping around here. He can keep everything moving the way it need to move. He can do that. The elder, the elder of the floor, he can do that. And while I can, I can get some preparation time. I got to read a whole lot of books. My eyes ain't that good no more, so thank God I can read on the screen right here. All right, so I'm going to take a break, everybody. Now, we got a whole lot of stuff going on up here in New York. No Jacket Jim Jordan is up here in New York today, excoriating, nothing to brag about. So it's a whole lot that's going on. Got all these mass shootings everywhere. That's right. Then everybody's upset about the abortion pill. I mean, people are marching in the streets. It's crazy in America. And I need to let you know we're in the tribulation. We'll talk more about that when I get back. Hey, hold tight, everybody. Hang tight. I'll be right back. Let me just say this. I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm not a Democrat. Definitely ain't that. I'm not a Republican. Sure enough, stomped on ain't that. I'm not a liberal. Ain't gonna never be. And I'm not a conservative. I'm not that. I'm not a red boy or a blue boy. I'm the Lord's servant. Listen, I'm not here in support of Joe Biden and Camelback ain't Black Harris. The last thing on the planet Earth would be I'd be supporting them. I'm not. I don't have anything kind to say about them. I'm not here in support of Trump or any of the Trump supporters. I'm the Lord's servant. I ain't on nobody's side. I'm on the Lord's side. Let's be clear. All right, they'll be calling me a Biden supporter and I done flipped the wig and this, that, and the other. I did endorse Trump. I'll admit that. I did, but not now.
And as of right now, you are a dangerous man. You've got a master's degree in theology and truth. And it's not to say that they had it all figured out, but you have a master's degree in truth. They want you silent. If they can do it one way, get you diabetes, get you cancer, and get you to die off.
You think they'd try that?
Pardon?
You think they would try injecting me with cancer or diabetes or something of that nature?
Well, that's eventually how they want you to fall off. They don't want to get caught pulling too many bodies out of a certain area at one time. That's why they're setting up the generation gaps so one generation can't communicate with the other.
Good morning, Mrs. Manning. This is John Kaminsky in Florida. I have some bad news, just what you need, more bad news, right? I've been dismissed from my position at speak3radio.com, and I've spent a lot of time trying to put together an alternative way to conduct an interview. I think Pastor Manning is an exemplary human being, and I want to help him, but I'm not sure I can help him. What I've come up with is he needs to talk to Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson, for all his flaws and connections, he would be more apt to give you the impact that you need. I'm just now an unemployed renegade who likes honest human beings, which is why I like your husband. But it's become too difficult a proposition. I arranged an alternative way to do it, but in thinking about it, I can't provide the impact that he needs to deal with the problem that he expressed in that YouTube I just watched. So I want to thank you for your kindness and your mission. I want to wish you the best of luck, but I'm not the guy to help you as much as I would like to. Thank you very much for your time. I'm sorry for all the confusion. My life is pretty confused as well, just like yours. Thanks again. Good luck. God be with you.
All right, we got a hot time in the old town in New York City. No jacket Jim Jordan is here with nothing to brag about. Need to get to similarities again, dude. Play on words. Alvin Bragg is his name, and Jim Jordan with no jacket Jim Jordan. The 3 J's, and you get the idea, right? So look at my creativity. Give me some. You know, if I'm showing some creativity, man, give me some play, right? Anyway, no jacket Jim Jordan is here with nothing to brag about. And they're right downtown at Javits Center down 34th Street down there. Senator Jacob Javits, y'all remember him. And they built this big center. So they're downtown now demonstrating unequivocally that New York is a crime-riddled place. And the only thing that nothing to brag about is thinking about is putting Tribulation Trump in jail for paying hush money to a porn star. And so Jim Jordan is here today. He brought his crew. He brought his whole crew. He brought the Democrats up here as well. And he scoured the streets of Manhattan and New York and Bronx to get a whole lot of people to testify about the crime. And then the crime is off the charts here. And like you've never seen it before. I mean, they got 18-year-old boy, 15-year-old boys shooting one another on 125th Street while I was away last week. 4 murders took place right here on 120, one right on 2 blocks from here. So I'm not going out of my building without my nightstick. You know what I mean? No, it's bad up here. Anyway, so I'm going to let the engineer, we got a clip from, I think, Fox News, Farris Faulkner, you know her. She's going to let us eavesdrop on what's going on. Mr. Engineer, roll that clip.
Hearing on violent crime in New York City. And at times it has been heartrending, heartbreaking, and at times it has just been horrific. It comes just weeks after the indictment of former President Trump, and Democrats say the hearing is purely payback for that, all political. However, New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik pins it on the city's lax crime policies. She says New York is being targeted because you have radical left-wing Democrats who have put failed bail reform in place. That includes Governor Kathy Hochul. That includes defund the police Democrats in New York City, as well as radical far-left district attorneys like Alvin Bragg. The mother of a U.S. Army veteran, I showed her to you earlier. He was murdered in a gang assault in the city. She shared her story this morning. One of the 4 charged in that fatal incident is already back on the streets. This mom wants Alvin Bragg held accountable.
Mary Saunders, this savage, is currently walking the streets of Harlem. She's capable at any moment of snapping and attacking someone and holding them while someone else plunges a butcher knife into their body 9 times, and another person 12 times, and then run away and leave their body in the street to bleed to death. And as far as the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, if he's receiving 1 penny of federal dollars, you need to pull that funding until he starts doing his damn job and prosecuting crime.
Oh, yeah, she said the quiet part out loud. Former New York Republican Congressman and gubernatorial candidate Lee Zeldin is here. Your response, first of all, to Madeleine Brame.
Madeleine is a strong woman, and she is not just speaking out with her own pain and fighting for justice towards the son's murderers, many of whom are able to get through a criminal justice system with the assistance of people who are there for the purpose of prosecuting. But unfortunately for people like Alvin Bragg, they think DA stands for defense attorney, not district attorney. Ooh. I'm really happy that this House Judiciary Committee hearing took place. I think that the Democrats are missing the boat on a couple points here. One is, this is a real issue for New Yorkers across party lines. People who go to the local pharmacy and they're seeing their toothpaste locked up, or maybe they're not feeling safe and traveling on a subway, or other quality of life impacts. There's also the wrong assumption that Democrats are making, as if blind partisan loyalty is just going to overwhelm the prioritization of other issues that transcend politics, like wanting safe streets. So really what the answer is here is for more leadership, and we want people of all parties to stand up and say enough is enough. We want to take back our streets to support our men and women in law enforcement. And this shouldn't be something that is pitting party against party. Everyone should be on board in making sure that people like Madeleine feel safe and they feel like there's a justice system representing them and their families.
I got to be honest with you. When I hear you say this, it takes me back to 2 days in your candidacy. Not 1, but 2. One, your family was in harm's way because of gunfire not far from your kitchen. The other was when a man with a shiv came at you and tried to kill you on stage. I mean, when I think about those times, I wonder if anything has changed that's good enough to keep you, your family, and Madeleine Brame and so many millions of people.
Let me pause just a second, Mr. Engineer. I'll bring you back to Faulkner in just a moment. The issue here is obviously that No Jacket Jim Jordan, who believes that the indictment against Tribulation Trump for, paying hush money to Stormy Daniels, and he's been indicted on criminal charges, 34 criminal charges that have been brought against him. And so Jim, and obviously you all know this, but I'm just recounting it on your behalf, that No Jacket Jim Jordan is saying, well, all the crime going on here in New York for a man paying money to a prostitute, well, I don't know if you're a prostitute when you call it, yeah, I guess so, ought not to be priority. So No Jacket Jim Jordan, I thought when he first said he was going to do it, that I thought he was just blowing smoke. But he's actually brought the entire judiciary team to New York. And I guess they're going to be here for just one day. I don't know if they're going to be here beyond that, whether they will or not. But there are a lot of people in New York that heard that the crime is awful in New York. I tell you that, don't go outside your house in New York without your nightstick. No, you need to be able to protect yourself. And it's getting worse under Eric Adams, who is the mayor. Now, he's a Hamite. He calls himself black. Everybody else calls him black, but he's a Hamite. Well, I don't know if he's a Hamite or not. He's just black. And then you got Alvin Bragg. And both of these are two young people. And I did a thing the other day about nothing makes black people happier than getting a black politician. Not getting a black bank, not getting a black person building an automobile, or black person, discovering some sort of, but boy, you talking about black people getting happy when they get a politician. Get black politician, even though they're sleeping on the streets on cardboard, they don't even want a house to live in. They don't want a bed or a blanket to cover them up when they sleep in the street. But if you give them, all they want is give us a black politician. The sickest damn thing I've ever seen in my life. Anyway, let's look at a little bit more of this, then I got to go because I got to get you to Tucker Carlson and Roger Stone in just a moment. So hold tight. Let's see what else is here she got to say.
People here in New York City safe.
Well, unfortunately, right now, what we're seeing is that you don't have policies that are actually getting rid of cashless bail. So that we're going further down the wrong path with elected officials who feel like we don't go far enough in representing criminals. There's the aspect of prosecutors who are refusing to enforce the law. Alvin Bragg said on day one, when he got into office, he was not going to prosecute all different kinds of crimes across the board. All sorts of other crimes were going to get treated as lesser offenses. And then the third piece is that last year we saw NYPD having more resignations, retirements than they've experienced in an extremely long time. The impact on morale and their own safety. So there's not enough support of our men and women in law enforcement. So for New Yorkers, and there's other cities like this, you're just playing a clip from Chicago, for people who want to see their streets taken back, for law-abiding Americans to be in control rather than criminals, from the policies to the prosecutors to the lack of support of law enforcement. There's a lot of people who feel like this isn't going in the right direction.
Well, thank God you and your family are okay. And, you talk about the voters turning things around, but they're not. In Chicago, they went from Lori Lightfoot to Brandon Johnson. They didn't choose Paul Vallis, who was decidedly a lot more moderate. They doubled down on some of these policies and defunding the police. Here in New York City, they didn't have to choose Mayor Eric Adams. They thought they'd chosen the former Republican that he is, the former New York City cop that he is, and that he might be different. With Alvin Bragg, everybody knows who these DAs are. People aren't making those choices. I wonder why the people who don't feel safe are outnumbered by the ones who don't care. All right, let's get to...
There are a lot of people who are waking up.
Yeah.
New York State, for example, 22% of the state is registered Republican. We got just under 50% of the vote. Clearly, there are a lot of people who are not Republican who feel like we need to do more to secure our streets. We just need even more people to wake up in order to actually turn this around.
Yeah, those are important numbers to know about. Thank you. Tensions around the globe are growing. It's an especially serious time.
I don't think, a lot of people, as far as crime is concerned, here in the Big Apple, first of all, tourists are a little concerned about coming here if they realize they can get robbed and murdered and maimed and mugged. But I can tell you this, things are going to get worse. They're not going to get better. America has seen, I'm not anti-American, I'm not a hater, I'm not one against, I wave, I got a flag, I wave the flag, I sing Star Spangled Banner and all that, God bless America, no. Yes, I love America. But I'm going to tell you, her best days are, America is the melting pot of the tribulation. And that's why we see so many things. You would think that the mass shootings, where's all this coming from? And I'm going to be meeting with our school officials to deal with the whole idea, because these Gen Zers have nothing to look up to, and nobody's paying it any attention. No one is paying. Everybody's too involved, and I don't know what they're involved in. The people that are in their 40s and 50s, 60s, and 70s, people don't go to church anymore. These Gen Zers have nothing to look up to. They're just killing and running. And listen, it's only going to get worse. And AI is coming. You may not know what it is, but it's coming. And when it comes, people will not have the power to resist it. And all this business of celebrating trannies and celebrating, LGBTQ, it is madness. And celebrating, rapping, it is just escalating into a time is worse than a ball of confusion. But at any rate, I wanted to be able to say that there is Atla, and God's getting ready. God sent all these people up here to build all these buildings so we can live in them. That's right, just like he did with David Ben Gurion over there in Israel back in 1948. And the way he did with Joshua back there in the Bible days when they crossed the Jordan into Jericho. So for me, I'm prophesying what's going on, and I'm telling people about Atla and the place where Jesus will return. But it's going to get worse. If you think the mass shootings, there's going to be more. I kept telling you. I told y'all that the other day. And so they got Tribulation Trump. He's going to be indicted down there in Georgia. He's going to be indicted. Jack Smith down there in Washington going to indict him on Mar-a-Lago documents. Going to indict him on January 6th. Trump was in town the other day. He spent 7 hours being deposed. 7 hours asking him questions about his business enterprises here in New York City. And he can get fined $250 million. And for 5 years, won't be able to say nothing about his business. That could ruin him. And then this woman, E. Jean Carroll, said he raped her in Bergdorf Goodman several years ago, 30 years ago. So it's only going to get worse. Then they had the killing down there in Alabama last Saturday night. And you have to realize that it has never been like this before. We're in the tribulation, everybody. All right, Mr. Engineer, take me to a break. Don't go anywhere about it, because I got Roger Stone and Tucker Carlson coming up in just a moment. All right, so don't go anywhere. Let me just say this: I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm not a Democrat. Definitely ain't that. I'm not a Republican. Sure enough, stomped on ain't that. I'm not a liberal. Ain't gonna never be. And I'm not a conservative. I'm not that. I'm not a red boy or a blue boy. I'm the Lord's servant. Listen. I'm not here in support of Joe Biden and Camelback Hank Black Harris. The last thing on the planet Earth would be I'd be supporting them. I'm not. I don't have anything kind to say about them. I'm not here in support of Trump or any of the Trump supporters. I'm the Lord's servant. I ain't on nobody's side. I'm on the Lord's side. Let's be clear. All right, they'll be calling me a Biden supporter, and I done flipped the wig and this, that, and the other. I did endorse Trump. I'll admit that. I did, but not now.
And as of right now, you are a dangerous man. You've got a master's degree in theology and truth. And it's not to say that they had it all figured out, but you have a master's degree in truth. They want you silent. If they can do it one way, get you diabetes, get you cancer, and get you to die off.
You think they'd try that?
Pardon?
You think they would try injecting me with cancer or diabetes or something of that nature?
Well, that's eventually how they want you to fall off. They don't want to get caught pulling too many bodies out of a certain area at one time. That's why they're setting up the generation gaps, so one generation can't communicate with the other.
Good morning, Mrs. Manning. This is John Kaminsky in Florida. I have some bad news, just what you need, more bad news, right? I've been dismissed from my position at speakfreeradio.com, and I've spent a lot of time trying to put together an alternative way to conduct an interview. I think Pastor Manning is an exemplary human being, and I want to help him, but I'm not sure I can help him. What I've come up with is he needs to talk to Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson, for all his flaws and connections, he would be more apt to give you the impact that you need. I'm just now an unemployed renegade who likes honest human beings, which is why I like your husband. But it's become too difficult a proposition. I arranged an alternative way to do it, but in thinking about it, I can't provide the impact that he needs to deal with the problem that he expressed in that YouTube I just watched. So I want to thank you for your kindness and your mission. I want to wish you the best of luck, but I'm not the guy to help you as much as I would like to. Thank you very much for your time. I'm sorry for all the confusion. My life is pretty confused as well, just like yours. Thanks again. Good luck. God be with you.
All right. Thank you, Brother Kaminsky. Now, listen, I coming up in another segment or another block or whatever, I'm going to be talking about those two young representatives that got expelled from the Tennessee House of Representatives while I was away studying for the preparation for the trial. I'm going to get to that a little bit later on in the next segment. But right now, I want to get to Tucker Carlson, actually, and Roger Stone. By the way, I want to thank Bob Jackson for sending us this clip. Bob Jackson. And by the way, Bob Jackson, what's going on down there in Nashville, man? Tennessee, what is going on down there with y'all? Bob Jackson lives in Tennessee. I think he lives right around Nashville, if I'm not mistaken. So, Bob, what you got all this shooting down there? Then you got these boys down there, being expelled from, House of Representatives. You got all kind of marches, a march going on down there called Moral Monday, led by this other guy down there. So y'all got a mess. Clean up that mess down there, Bob Jackson, y'all got going on down there. All right, Mr. Engineer, bring up Tucker Carlson and Roger Stone. Y'all listen to this.
Roger Stone, thanks so much for coming on. You're the first person we thought of because this happened to you. And I remember people saying, well, Roger Stone's a troublemaker. It's okay if he's not allowed to defend himself and CNN can attack him, but he can't fight back. Maybe this will awaken people to how immoral this is.
Look, I think the idea that they might gag Donald Trump is really a testimony to his effectiveness as a counterpuncher. He's used social media and his interviews to very effectively question the falsity of these charges, question the political motivations and funding of District Attorney Alvin Bragg, and to question the bias of this judge. But more importantly, not only do I think the gag order would be unconstitutional, nowhere does it say you lose your free speech rights if you're charged with a crime, but more importantly, it's election interference. He is a legal candidate for the 2024 Republican nomination. He's leading by closer to 40 points in the polls. And this is a very clear effort to try to break his momentum. You can see in the polls and in the money that he's raising that the stronger they hit him, the harder they hit him, the more his support grows. So I think canceling him now, gagging him now, is a reaction to the way he has rebounded and actually benefited from what is a naked partisan attack against him.
But to use the legal system to effect an attack like that is just beyond the pale in the beginning of the end. I remember when Judge Amy Berman Jackson, who's completely out of control, did this to you, and the pretext was, well, if you talk in your own defense in public, you could influence the jury. But she didn't gag CNN, which spent a year attacking you every day, or MSNBC or the New York Times. Like, this doesn't even make sense as a legal order.
Well, not only that, but she kept the gag order in my case in place after I was already convicted, after there was already a verdict. I would have gone to jail under a gag order if President Trump hadn't seen the unjustness and ridiculousness of the charges against me. By the way, there was never any evidence of Russian collusion, WikiLeaks collaboration, or any other crime, as Robert Mueller admitted in his final long redacted report. And those who say, well, the gag order would just be narrow, it would only relate to these charges are politically motivated. This is part of the campaign against Donald Trump.
Yeah, but if you can't speak in your own defense in public and only your critics have the freedom of speech, I mean, at that point, darkness has descended.
I think that we're all aware of the fact that possibly the judge that's looking at or presiding over, rather, the trial here in New York City with Alvin Bragg's indictment of Trump is considering putting a gag order on Trump. That is to say that he can't speak about the case. I'm not so sure that's going to happen. I think that Tucker has brought on Roger Stone because the Amy Jackson Berman that did gag Roger Stone, that boy couldn't say nothing during the time of his trial. And he was convicted too, by the way, and Trump pardoned him. And I'll have some similarities between Roger Stone's trial and the trial that we're going to face here, the 9 lawyers against the city of New York, the Mellon Bank. I'll have some more to deal with in terms of the similarities of the Roger Stone event. I'm working on that aspect along with learning the legalese as we get prepared for what's going to happen. But I don't know that I think that what will happen is this, is that the judge, and I could be wrong on this one now, I don't have this as a word from the Lord, that the judge is probably going to let Trump say what he wants to say, and hoping that Trump will say something that will incriminate himself, will make his matter even, and would probably, in New York, the other thing I think that probably Alvin Bragg is depending on is that only 22% of people in the New York area, that's 1 out of every 5 person you would find would be a Republican here, or a conservative for that matter, and not necessarily a Trump conservative or a Trump Republican. 1 out of 5. And I think right here, that's in New York State. Right here in New York City, it may be 1 out of 10 would be a conservative or considered a Republican or a right-winger. But what I find happening more and more is that a large number of people are looking at the political beliefs that are going on right now in terms of New York City. It's very liberal, if you will, political positions. And the crime in New York, as No Jacket Jim Jordan is emphasizing, and they're ready to now not necessarily not remain as Democrats or independents, but they're ready now to shut down a lot of what the liberals and the liberal media is doing. So we'll see how all that develops as it moves along. But I am convinced that a lot of people think, well, let him say something, let him keep talking, and ultimately he's going to say something that's going to injure himself. And by the way, this is not Trump's only nightmare. He's got that one down there, Fannie Willis down there, with Trump got 3 Hamite people out there, 2 Hamite women, Fannie Willis, right, Letitia James, the Attorney General for the state of New York, and then they got Alvin Bragg, 3 of them, 3 Hamites running after Trump. And someone wrote me a question, I think some woman out there in Illinois, Ohio the other day, and asked me, is this going to start a race war? I don't think so. But it's interesting. We're in the tribulation. That's the thing I think we ought to be mindful of that before we can go any further. All right, Mr. Engineer, take me to a break. When I come back, I'm going to talk to you about what happened down there while I was away. And this thing exploded down there in Nashville, Tennessee, trying to find out what Bob Jackson needed to clean up all that mess going on down there in Tennessee. These 2 representatives, actually 3 representatives called the Tennessee 3. I'm going to let you hear my take on that when I get back. So hang tight, don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Let me just say this. I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm not a Democrat. Definitely ain't that. I'm not a Republican. Sure enough, stomped on ain't that. I'm not a liberal. Ain't gonna never be. And I'm not a conservative. I'm not that. I'm not a red boy or a blue boy. I'm the Lord's servant. Listen, I'm not here in support of Joe Biden and Camelback Hank Black Harris. The last thing on the planet Earth would be I'd be supporting them. I'm not. I don't have anything kind to say about them. I'm not here in support of Trump or any of the Trump supporters. I'm the Lord's servant. I ain't on nobody's side. I'm on the Lord's side. Let's be clear. All right, they'll be calling me a Biden supporter and I done flipped the wig and this, that, and the other. I did endorse Trump. I'll admit that I did, but not now.
And as of right now, you are a dangerous man. You've got a master's degree in theology and truth. And it's not to say that they had it all figured out, but you have a master's degree in truth. They want you silent. If they can do it one way, get you diabetes, get you cancer, and get you to die off.
You think they'd try that?
Pardon?
You think they would try injecting me with cancer or diabetes or something of that nature?
Well, that's eventually how they want you to fall off. They don't want to get caught pulling too many bodies out of a certain area at one time. That's why they're setting up the generation gaps so one generation can't communicate with the other.
Good morning, Mrs. Manning. This is John Kaminsky in Florida. I have some bad news, just what you need, more bad news, right? I've been dismissed from my position at speakfreeradio.com. And I've spent a lot of time trying to put together an alternative way to conduct an interview. I think Pastor Manning is an exemplary human being, and I want to help him, but I'm not sure I can help him. What I've come up with is he needs to talk to Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson, for all his flaws and connections, he would be more apt to give you the impact that you need. I'm just now an unemployed renegade who likes honest human beings, which is why I like your husband. But it's become too difficult a proposition. I arranged an alternative way to do it, but in thinking about it, I can't provide the impact that he needs to deal with the problem that he expressed in that YouTube I just watched. So I want to thank you for your kindness and your mission. I want to wish you the best of luck, but I'm not the guy to help you as much as I would like to. Thank you very much for your time. I'm sorry for all the confusion. My life is pretty confused as well, just like yours. Thanks again. Good luck. God be with you.
All right, so while I was away, this thing exploded down there in Nashville, Tennessee, down in Bob Jackson's territory, where these three representatives called the Tennessee Three were expelled from, or two of them were expelled, and the other was survived by a one-vote majority, the Japheth woman. But the two Hamite young men were both expelled from the Tennessee House of Representatives. I think one represented a district here. I think Justin Jones represented a district here, right there in Nashville, rather. And Justin Pearson, they're both named Justin, represented a district in Memphis, Tennessee. And the Speaker of the House, a fellow by the name of Sexton, I believe, expelled them because during the shooting of that Presbyterian Covenant School there in Nashville a week earlier, the protesters had come out to the House of Representatives to protest, and these three at the time, Tennessee Three, joined in the protest and took the well of the floor of the House. If you know about that, so all that happened. I saw that happen. I was away at the time, so I wasn't doing a live broadcast. I'd never heard these fellows before, and had they been expelled, probably none of us would have heard of them ever. I don't know, maybe they would have risen. I have to say this. I mean, I think that both of them represent a talent at speaking and understanding to some degree of the political process as well. I think they, for being 28 and 27 years of age, I think that's commendable that they're able to communicate their ideas as well as they are and put thoughts in together. I think Justin Pearson perhaps is a little bit more loquacious than Justin Jones. Justin Jones is the guy, if you don't know who they are, the guy with the white jacket on. Justin Pearson is the guy with the Angela Davis, if you will, afro. Or the wrap brown afro, if you remember, want to go back that far. But so they, and so I'll give them that. And they have been immersed. They have been well soaked and dyed into civil rights as a way of life. I think they probably have been involved in this process. I think they're both closely related to preachers or been raised up in the church, and I understand both of them have Filipinian fathers. They're not totally, if you will, just totally Afrocentric, if you must. They are, but they have a black mother, and they have the fathers are Filipino. Both of them, strangely enough, and they're both named Justin. So I thought that was weird. I mean, totally weird that they would have that kind of a background. And but I have to tell you, I think I've heard enough of them, quite frankly. Because especially Justin Pearson on the night that he was expelled, he said Jesus was black, and that Virgin Mary was black, and why you got to go down that road, man? Why you got to do that? Why everything got to revolve around blackness? And I think that you have to, when you are you're a political legislator, a lawmaker, such as they are. And what I've noticed about black people, if it ain't black, they ain't gonna give it no credit. They are black people and black leaders in particular, whether these two are whether it's, I don't know, Jesse Jackson or whoever, Al Sharpton, none of them ever give anything. Well, Al is more of a sellout now. So I have to maybe extract him from this analysis. But they never give anybody else any other true credit. They never reference the fact that America is still a good place. They never reference that there are decent. In fact, there was a Japheth woman, I think was named Johnson, that stood at the well with them, and she was voted on, but she survived the vote. I'll give them credit for being loquacious and being eloquent in terms of their speaking. I think they're very good and perhaps they could have a future someplace. But problem is now, I'm upset with the Speaker of the House there in Nashville because he had not. First of all, I wouldn't have expelled them just because of what they did. I would have sanctioned them maybe, and maybe taken away some of their privileges of sitting on committees. But I wouldn't have completely kicked them out. That was just begging for trouble. Now we got to listen to them for the rest of our lives. We got to listen to these two guys because that guy down there who expelled them, that Speaker of the House, is an idiot. For having done that. Now the whole world got to listen to these people for the rest of our lives because of what he did. All they had to do was just say, okay, I'm going to, take you off committees. I'm going to sanction you or something like that. I don't know. Don't let you use the little boys' room. I don't know anything. But he didn't know. So now everywhere you look, and the liberal tell, Lord have mercy, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. The liberal media been eating this rat than a rat. I mean, the liberal media been going to this story worse than black folk go to Golden Corral. I'm telling you, and white folk go to Cracker Barrel. I know that, did you? Didn't know I know that? Yeah. Black folk go to Golden Corral and white folk go to Cracker Barrel. Anyway, but Lord have mercy, they have been. And so I saw, Lord, I got this guy again. So I just turned the television off. I think I've had enough of them. But they may rise to prominence. You might see Justin Pearson running for president, something like that, running for governor of Georgia, running for senate or something. It's going to happen because they got all this free publicity. Everybody knows their name now. They were on Fox too, but that Fox took it from looked at it from a different perspective than did the. By the way, I don't want to because I got to get out of here now. My time is just about up for this segment. But did y'all hear about what's happening with Clarence Thomas? Y'all heard about him, right? They are reporting, and I believe it, that Clarence Thomas been riding around in a private jet owned by this billionaire named Harlan Crow. He need a new name too, by the way. And that he has been riding around in a 164-foot yacht. That's longer than our church building, that yacht. And been riding with a private cook, island hopping, everything that a man could ever desire is on that yacht, right? And Clarence Thomas been riding around on that yacht. It belonged to this fellow named this billionaire named Harlan Crow. Then I heard after they reported that, I heard that Harlan Crow purchased a house that Clarence Thomas used to live in where his mother lived. He purchased a couple of other houses, I think bought 3 houses, all told for $133,000, anyway, $133,000. And now the stuff is, it's all over everywhere. And they're calling for AOC, that Alexander Ocasio-Cortez is calling for Clarence Thomas to be impeached. Several other senators are calling for him to be investigated. But see that yacht, see at the top of that big old, that's a bad mamma jamma of a yacht. Got your own pilot, got your own crew, own cook, he and Jenny Thomas. And then, of course, that private jet, riding around that private jet, and then staying in, this house actually, his house, I think, is in a luxury resort up here in the Adirondacks, right here in New York. I'll have to check it out. But old Clarence Thomas been grifting everybody. Mr. Anita Hill, Clarence Thomas, been grifting. Y'all remember that hearing when Clarence Thomas, I think it was George Bush that the old man that suggested that Clarence Thomas should be, that recommended Clarence Thomas to be. And he'd been a Supreme Court justice, second one since Thurgood Marshall. Anyway, he's been pretty quiet. I don't trust him, quite frankly. Anyway, this stuff has been all over the news about what's happening. And I don't think Clarence Thomas is going to survive this. I don't. The only way Clarence Thomas survived this is that we have a lot more mass shootings, and somehow or another the Supreme Court says that this drug, misoprostol, this tablet that you can take for an abortion, that he upholds that ruling from that judge down in Amarillo, Texas, and says you can't even get it by mail. Then you're going to see people fighting in the street, and they're going to forget about Clarence Thomas. But the Supreme Court turns and so Clarence, hey Clarence, you and your homeboys are on the court. Here's what y'all do. Because they're going to bring that drug, that Mr. Prestatone, or whatever the name of it is, pill, it's going to come to y'all, to the court. And if you can get your homies to completely stand with the decision of that judge down there in Amarillo, Texas, if you can get the Supreme Court to just stand with that, say, no, you can't get it in the mail, you can't get it this way, you can't get it that way, and it's outlawed. If you can get that, America ain't going to be paying no attention to you no more, because they're going to be fighting to have them abortions. I can tell you that right now. So they won't pay no attention to you. You'll keep your seat. You'll keep, you lay low for a while. You and Harlan Crow stop all this grifting back and forth, and you'll be okay. All right, listen, everybody, I got to go. I want y'all to pray for us. I'll talk to you more about my preparing to stand before these 9 lawyers in the federal court building here in New York City. But I want to show you, this is a very important piece for me, put together by Captain David Lewis and Minister Honecker regarding the plight of black men here in New York City, but representative across America, if not the world. Mr. Engineer.
Jesus, will you take my hand? Because I don't understand. I don't know which way to go. A lot of things that I just don't know. Jesus, will you take my hand? Because I don't understand. It's a long, dark road, and I carry a heavy load. Jesus, will you take my hand? Because I don't understand. Jesus, lead me to the promise.